What happens when you win everything? When you've defeated every opponent, conquered every challenge, and there is no one left to fight? That was the strange, lonely question waiting at the end of Miyamoto Musashi's life. But his beginning was nothing like the legend. Tonight, we're not just telling you facts. We're placing you inside his sandals, feeling the cold ground, the weight of a wooden sword, the moment a 13-year-old boy realizes he was born to fight. If you've ever wanted to understand what it really means to be a master, not just of a weapon, but of yourself, then this is the story you've been waiting for. Before we go any further, I'd be honored if you join this little corner of history by subscribing. It's the easiest way to make sure you never miss a journey like this one. And if you're ready, let's begin. Because your life as Miyamoto Musashi is about to unfold. One duel, one road, one quiet revelation at a time. You are born into a world that does not want you. Not yet. The year is 1584, and the country they call Japan is a wound that will not close. 100 years of war, 100 years of brothers turning on brothers, castles burning, villages swallowed by ash. Your first breath is drawn in a cramped village called Miyamoto, tucked into the rugged hills of Harima province, and the air you take in tastes of smoke, hoarse sweat, and the faint copper promise of blood. Your father, Shinmen Munisai, is a man who has made his name with the edge of a blade. He is a vassal to a powerful lord, a swordsman of genuine skill, and by all accounts a father who measures love in bruises rather than embraces. He does not coo over you. He does not whisper lullabies. He watches you the way a smith watches a fresh blade, calculating whether the steel will hold, whether the temper is true, whether you will one day be useful enough to deserve the name he has given you. Your mother is there, for a time. But the details of her face will fade from your memory before you are old enough to call it loss. By the time you are 7, she is gone, to death, to flight, to the silence of a history that does not care to record women. And your father, the man who was supposed to forge you, leaves too. Perhaps he was called to serve his lord. Perhaps he simply found you unworthy of his attention. The reason does not matter. What matters is the stillness that follows. A boy, barely old enough to lift a practice sword, left to raise himself in a village where survival is a daily negotiation between hunger and cunning. So you learn. Not from masters, not from scrolls, but from watching. You watch the way farmers hold their hoes like weapons, the way dogs fight over scraps, the way men die when they hesitate. Your playground is the forest. Your classroom is the cold dirt. You pick up a stick and swing it until your palms blister, then swing it again. There is no one to tell you when you are doing it wrong, and so you invent your own rightness. By the time you are 10, the other children avoid you. Not because you are cruel, but because your eyes hold something that makes them uneasy, a stillness that belongs to men twice your age, a patience that has no business in a child. And then, at 13, the stillness explodes. A traveling samurai named Arima Kia arrives in your village, boasting, challenging, expecting easy victories over soft country folk. He posts his challenge publicly, the way men do when they want to be feared. You step forward. He laughs at the boy with the wild hair and the wooden sword. You do not laugh back. You simply move, fast, savage, unburdened by the hesitation that kills most men. Before the crowd can gasp, before Kia can understand what is happening, he is on the ground, and you are standing over him, your hands steady, your breath even, your childhood ending in the space between one heartbeat and the next. That is the moment the boy dies. What rises in his place is something else entirely, something that will spend the rest of its life learning that the hardest opponent is never the one holding a sword, but the one staring back from the inside of a cave. And now, with the taste of first blood still sharp on your tongue, you make a choice that will define everything that follows. You leave. No master, no home, no promise of safety. Just a blade and the open road, because something inside you already knows that a life worth living is never the one you are given, it is the one you take. You leave with nothing but the weight of a sword and the hunger of a boy who has already killed a man and found that killing did not fill the hollow place inside him. The road becomes your home, and you learn quickly that the world does not reward a wandering ronin with comfort. You sleep under trees when the weather permits, in ditches when it does not. Your stomach learns the difference between hunger and starvation, and you discover that a man can survive on stolen radishes, cold river water, and the quiet fury that burns in his chest like a forge fire. The villages you pass through do not know what to make of you. Too young to be a proper samurai, too dangerous to be a beggar. Women pull their children inside when you approach. Men watch you from doorways, hands resting on whatever blade they own, measuring the threat you present. You let them wonder. Let them whisper. You are not here to explain yourself. You are here to become something. So you seek out dojos, the great houses of sword training that dot the countryside like stones in a river. You do not kneel at their gates and beg for instruction. You challenge them. One by one, the masters send their finest students to humble the ragged boy who dares disturb their peace, and one by one, you send those students back with bruised bodies and shattered pride. The style you fight with is not beautiful. It is not the poetry of the old schools, the elegant forms passed down through generations of courtly warriors. Your movements are raw, improvisational, born not from tradition but from the desperate arithmetic of survival. You learn to read the microsecond of hesitation in an opponent's eyes, the way their weight shifts before a strike, the small betrayals of the body that come just before a man commits to his own death. And you exploit them without mercy. There is a dark seduction in this life, one that whispers to you in the quiet hours after a duel. You begin to understand that you are not fighting for victory anymore. You are fighting to feel something. The rush of steel against steel, the crack of bone, the way a man's bravado collapses into fear when he realizes he has underestimated you. These become the only moments when the hollow inside you fills, if only for an instant. You wonder, sometimes, whether this hunger will ever be satisfied. Whether there is an opponent somewhere who can push you far enough that you finally feel whole. The thought unsettles you, but you do not turn away from it. You are 15, 16, 17, and you are becoming something that the polite world of lords and castles does not know how to name. They call you a demon, a storm, a curse. But you know the truth is simpler. You are a blade that has not yet found its sheath, and until you do, you will keep cutting. The road stretches on, and somewhere ahead, a challenge waits that will force you to become something greater than a killer. But that is still years away. For now, there is only the next town, the next dojo, the next man who believes he is your equal. Let them believe. You have already learned that the most dangerous thing in any duel is not the sword in your hand. It is the cold, patient certainty that you have already decided how it will end. The years of wandering sharpen you into something that no longer resembles the boy who left that muddy village. Your body has become a weapon, lean and corded with muscle that moves without thought, and your mind has become something far more dangerous, a quiet, patient predator that sees the killing stroke in every gesture, every breath, every flicker of hesitation. But somewhere in the hollows between duels, a strange restlessness begins to gnaw at you. Victory has become predictable. The men who step onto the dueling ground, even the celebrated masters with their illustrious names and their proud schools, all fall the same way. They underestimate you, or they overestimate themselves, and then they are on the ground, and you are walking away, and the hollow inside you remains unfilled. It is in this state, half hunger and half emptiness, that you begin to question the very foundations of the sword itself. Why, you wonder, does a samurai carry two blades but use only one? The question lodges itself in your mind like a splinter, refusing to be ignored. Tradition says the katana is for combat, the wakizashi for ritual, a sacred division that no warrior has dared to blur for generations. But you have never cared for tradition. You care only for what works, and what works is what keeps you alive when the odds turn against you. So you begin to train with both hands, both blades, moving in the forest until your arms ache and your shoulders scream, dropping swords until the muscles learn their separate rhythms. Left hand parries while right hand strikes. One blade faints while the other finds its mark. It feels, at first, like trying to write two different poems with the same breath. Chaos, frustration, the maddening certainty that your own body is betraying you. And then, one morning, something shifts. Perhaps it is the way the light falls through the trees, or the exhaustion that finally silences the voice of doubt in your mind. But your arms begin to move as if they belong to two different men, and yet the rhythm that emerges is not chaos, it is harmony. You are not fighting with two swords. You are fighting with a single will that has learned to express itself through two channels at once. The discovery is intoxicating, almost obscene in its intimacy. You understand, in that moment, that you have touched something the old masters never dared to reach for. A way of fighting that is not about technique but about absolute unity of intention. When you walk into the next dojo, the swordsmen who laugh at the sight of you holding two blades will learn what you already know, that you have stopped fighting by their rules. You have begun to invent your own. And the path you are carving will lead you, finally, to the one opponent who might prove worthy of everything you have become. But that duel, the one that will echo through centuries, is still waiting in the future. For now, there is only the terrible, beautiful work of becoming something the world has never seen before. Your name has become a whisper that travels ahead of you now, a current of fear that parts crowds before you even enter a town. But there is one name that travels alongside yours, a shadow that has been waiting for years to step into the light, Sasaki Kojirō. They call him the demon of the western provinces, and he is everything you are not. Where you are raw, he is polished. Where you are wild, he is elegant. His sword, the Nadachi, is so long that men joke he must have stolen it from a giant, and his technique, the swallow cut, is said to be fast enough to slice a bird in mid-flight. He has never lost a duel, and neither have you. For years, your paths have circled each other like two storms refusing to merge, and you know, with the cold certainty that has guided your blade since childhood, that the world is not large enough for both of you to remain undefeated. When the challenge comes, you accept without hesitation. The duel will be at dawn on Ganryūjima, a narrow island in the Kanmon Strait. The night before, you do something that the gossips will puzzle over for centuries. You carve a sword from a wooden boat or, longer than your usual blade, crude, unpolished, smelling still of river water and salt. It is not a weapon of honor. It is a weapon of strategy. You have studied Kojirō as you have studied every opponent, his reach, his timing, the way his pride sharpens his blade and dulls his judgment. You know that he expects a duel of equals, a clash of steel that will be sung about for generations. You intend to give him something else. You arrive late to the island, stepping from your boat with the unhurried calm of a man who has already won. Kojirō stands on the sand, his massive sword already drawn, his face tight with fury at your disrespect. The crowd of witnesses, the lords and fishermen who have gathered to watch history, fall silent. Kojirō throws his scabbard to the ground, a gesture that tells you everything you need to know. He is fighting with anger, not with clarity. You hold your oar before you, and for a moment, the world narrows to the space between two men who have spent their lives becoming death. He strikes first, his swallow cut arcing toward you with the speed of a legend. But you have already stepped inside his range, where his long sword cannot harm you. Your oar moves in a single, terrible arc, and the crack of wood against bone echoes across the strait. He falls. The legend of Sasaki Kojirō ends on that beach, and the legend of Miyamoto Musashi reaches its peak. But you feel no triumph as you walk back to your boat. You feel only the hollow silence that comes when the last worthy opponent has been laid to rest. The victories that once filled you now leave you empty, and you understand, with a clarity that is almost unbearable, that the only enemy left is the one staring back from inside your own chest. That understanding will lead you, eventually, to a cave, a brush, and a book that will outlive every duel you ever fought. But for now, you simply walk away, leaving the island behind, knowing that the greatest battle of your life is still ahead of you, and this time, there will be no sword to help you win it.